still live in interesting times. Today's stories. Saudi's foreign minister rejects demands to extradite suspects connected to the Khashoggi murder. A Syrian girl born without legs walks again on prosthetics. President Trump says Chief of Staff John Kelly is leaving at year's end. Former FBI Director James Comey to return to Congress for more questioning. Plus, Hawaii's Kona coffee exclusively grown in the United States. Hello everyone, I am Rose Papa Angeles, bringing you stories from around the globe. And this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister on Sunday rejected demands to extradite suspects connected to the murder of dissident journalist Jamal Khashoggi as sought by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
There are ongoing discussions between the United States and the GCC countries on this matter, and the ideas are still evolving and ongoing. The objective is to have a security arrangement in the Middle East that will protect the area from outside aggression. The objective is to have a security arrangement that will strengthen the ties between the United States and the countries of the region.
8-year-old Maya Mary had to struggle around a Syrian displaced persons camp on artificial limbs made of plastic tubing and tin cans. But now the girl, who was born with no legs due to a congenital condition, is walking on new prosthetics after undergoing treatment in Turkey. Pictures of her plight, including those taken by AFP in Syria, were seen around the world in June, and she was taken to Istanbul for the life-changing procedure. Dressed in a pink sweater and matching shoes, Maya on Saturday was able for the first time to walk along the rutted roads of the Sirhiya camp after arriving back. Finally, she joined in the games and dancing with the other children.
رحلة العلاج تقريبا دامت 5 أشهر. طبعا بهال5 أشهر يعني كانت فترة تدريب يعني على أطراف الصناعية إلي ولبنتي يعني الاثنين. فأول شيء بنتي يعني تقريبا ظلت 2 شهر تدريب، بعدين أنا بالفترة هاي يعني بدك تقول تدريب كأني مثل الولد الصغير أول ما يمشي يتعلم المشي. عائلتي وأقاربي كلهم فرحوا لما شافوا مايا رجعت تمشي على أطراف صناعية. الحمد لله فرحوا لي يعني كثير، والحمد لله إنه الحز قامت تقدر تطلع تلعب ويا الأولاد وترجع بالأطراف الصناعية. طبعا أنا من المعاناة اللي أنا عانيتها بحياتي والصعوبات اللي عانيتها يعني بالزحف على الأرض وقساوة الأرض، وشفت بنتي إنه عمال تتعذب نفس العذاب يعني مثلي، يعني فحبيت إنه ما تتعذب مثلي فصنعت لها الأطراف.
Mohammed suffers the same condition as his daughter, known as congenital amputation, which means the person is born without lower limbs. He cobbled together the homemade prosthetics on which she used to shuffle around the camp. Originally from Aleppo region, the father and daughter had to move to rebel-held Idlib province as fighting from Syria's civil war began to rage around her home. After the pictures of Maya's difficulties sparked attention across the globe, the Turkish Red Crescent intervened. The father and daughter were evacuated from Syria by the Turkish authorities and brought to Istanbul for treatment at a specialized clinic. Mohammed received prosthetic limbs as well, but admits that he isn't yet as steady on them as his daughter.
أخذت فترة 10 أيام يمكن لا تعودت يعني على الأطراف الصناعية، وصارت تنظر يعني مثل قبل انه هي كانت متعوده انه كل شيء واطي بالنسبه لها، بعدين طلعت صارت سوات الاطفال اللي يمشون، او مثلا اذا طلعنا بالشارع اذا اخذها من ايدها وقايدها انا تشوفها مثلها مثل الاطفال اللي يمشون بالشارع، انه تغير عندها شغلات كثيره، تغير عنده شغلات كثيرة. قبل ما كانت تطلع برات الخيمة نفترض، بعد ما طلعنا وركبت أطراف صناعية فيها تمشي تروح مع أخوانها للطريق، تطلع تتمشى ترجع، يمشوا مع بعض، يروحوا ويجوا يلعبوا مع بعض، يعني صفت إنسان عادية مثلها مثل أخوانها. مناطق حجر إشي ما بتحسن بالأطراف بعلب السردين أو إشي، هسه بالأطراف الصناعية يعني محتمل انه تمشي تروح تجي، يعني تدبر وضعها على العكازات على الاطراف، يعني اختلف عندها الوضع كثير وهي فرحانة بالاطراف في اكثر من هذيك 100 درجة يعني بقول لك.
Coming up, President Trump says Chief of Staff John Kelly is leaving at year's end. Former FBI Director James Comey to return to Congress for more questioning. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday announced his Chief of Staff, John Kelly, would be leaving the administration at the end of the year, the latest in a series of moves by the Republican leader to change his inner circle of aides.
So John Kelly will be leaving toward the end of the year, at the end of the year, and I appreciate his service very much. On the Mueller situation, we're very happy with what we are reading because there was no collusion whatsoever. There never has been. The last thing I want is help from Russia on a campaign.
Kelly, a retired Marine Corps general, was long rumored to be on the way out amid reports that his relationship with Trump had deteriorated to such an extent they were no longer on speaking terms. Trump said Kelly's replacement might be an interim chief of staff until a permanent successor is found. Although Kelly is credited with bringing some discipline to the Oval Office, his tenure was hardly smooth sailing. Kelly was serving as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security when he was brought in on July 31, 2017, to replace Reince Priebus as White House Chief of Staff. Kelly took over a White House plagued by political intrigue and under a cloud because of allegations of election collusion with Russia. Former FBI Director James Comey testified before U.S. lawmakers for the first time in over a year Friday, with much of the discussion centering on the Hillary Clinton's email use. The closed-door grilling came amid mounting intrigue over Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election and possible contacts between Donald Trump's presidential campaign and Moscow. Comey had pleaded for public hearing after he was subpoenaed by the outgoing Congress in November, but House Republicans, including some of Trump's allies, insisted on a private session before the Judiciary and Oversight Committees. Comey was questioned as part of a Republican-led House inquiry into possible Russian interference, and Clinton, who lost to Trump in 2016, featured prominently.
After a full day of questioning, two things are clear to me. One, we could have done this in open setting. And two, when you read the transcript, you will see that we are talking again about Hillary Clinton's emails, for heaven's sake, so I'm not sure we need to do this at all. But I'm trying to respect the institution and to answer questions in a respectful way.
Clinton had set up a private email server before becoming Secretary of State in 2009. Republicans seized on the revelation years later, saying she broke department protocol by using a private email account while a government official in order to hide sensitive correspondence. The issue became a flashpoint on the 2016 race. Republicans exited Friday's sessions, complaining that Comey lawyers shut down certain avenues of questioning. Comey disputed that, but gave a rationale for why he would not publicly discuss some elements.
Well, the FBI, for understandable reasons, doesn't want me talking about the details of the investigation that is still ongoing. It began when I was FBI director, and so it makes sense that they don't want me going into those details, but that's a very teeny part of what we talked about today, a whole lot of Hillary Clinton's emails, which will bore you. There wasn't any talk of it. I think they want to do it the same way. I wish it were going to be public, but I think we're going to have to do it the same way again. The president's attacks on the Justice Department broadly and the FBI are something that no matter what political party you're in, you should find deeply troubling and continue to speak out about, not become numb to attacks on the rule of law.
In May 2017, Trump abruptly sacked Comey, who was the senior official leading a criminal investigation into possible collusion with Moscow. 3 months earlier, the president met privately with Comey and urged him to end the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, a move that many Democrats interpreted as obstruction of justice. Trump has repeatedly blasted Mueller's probe as witch hunt and on Friday unleashed a Twitter tirade against Mueller, Comey, and other current and former officials tied to the Russia probe. Trump tweeted, "Robert Mueller and Lincoln Lion James Comey are best friends, just one of many Mueller conflicts of interest." Comey said a testimony transcript will be published 24 hours after his interview. Republicans want him to return for further testimony in 2 weeks, a final effort to advance their probe. House control shifts to Democrats in January, and incoming Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler said he would shut down the probe into FBI behavior because it was merely an effort to cast aspersion on the real investigation, which is Mueller. When we come back, Hawaii's Kona coffee exclusively grown in the United States. Eagle News Washington, D.C. will return shortly. This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. I am Rose Papa Angeles. For many of coffee drinkers, it might be taken for granted where the coffee comes from, as long as that boost is there to start the day. But for the people of Big Island in Hawaii, there is but only one kind of coffee that tops all others. Eagle News correspondent Charmaine Cicera showcases her hometown's pride and joy. Take a look.
E como mai, and welcome to Kailua Kona, the home of the world's famous Kona coffee. The history of Kona coffee can be traced as far back as 1828, when British missionaries arrived in the western part of the Big Island. Despite the economic ups and downs generated by the Great Depression and World War II, the world's demand for the Kona coffee remains very high, even in today's competitive market.
I think one of the key factors that makes Kona coffee special is the very unique climate we have in Kona, close to the northern edge of the tropics, and that combined with the special topography of Kona creates for a very unique environment for the cultivation and growing of coffee.
Although cultivation is more labor-intensive in Kona than in other coffee-growing regions, a simple combination of sunlight, fertile volcanic soil, and enough air moisture create the perfect conditions for these coffee beans, conditions that can never be matched anywhere else in the world.
Certain tropic areas like Colombia, Brazil, Ethiopia, Kenya, that parts of the world, coffee is grown at elevations of 3,000-4,000 to 6,000 feet. Here in Hawaii, in Kona, we grow coffee from about 1,000 feet to 2,500 feet, but due to the unique climate conditions, it mimics those conditions for those countries that are closer to the equator.
So far, Hawaii is the only state in the United States that grows coffee beans, which are grown in the north and south districts of Kailua Kona. To be officially recognized as Kona coffee, the beans must be grown and harvested in those areas.
This allows the coffee to develop slowly, between 7 and 9 months, and that slow development and that mimicking of the higher altitudes, that's what gives Kona coffee its depth in flavor, and it's like robust flavor. It has, some people say it's like a little fruity, some people like chocolatey. And so that's some of the attributes that make Kona coffee very special, in addition to the rich volcanic soil.
For coffee enthusiasts near or far, the Kona coffee is their ideal cup of joe, anytime, anywhere.
So if you want to taste the unique attributes from the different coffees from Kona or different parts of the world, I would suggest you use a medium roast and drink it black. I mean, to really, because if you're covering it up with sugar and cream, you're not getting the full effect. And if you drink in a really good specialty coffee, you should be able to drink it straight.
All right, that's a good advice. Well, so if you plan to come here in Kailua Kona for your next vacation, don't forget to sample our Kona coffee. Reporting from the Big Island of Hawaii, together with Mr. Carvalho, this is Charmaine Serrero for Eagle News. And we are one with 25.
The temperature here in DC is dropping. A perfect time for some Kona coffee, don't you think? That is today's Eagle News, Washington, DC. Join us tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at Eaglenews.PH and EagleNewsLive.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH. Thank you for watching. I am Rose Papa Angeles, and I am one with 25.